Welcome back to Ultra version 1.1. This is a free update featuring MPE. More factory presets. More LFOs and envelopes. Curves to control mod links. And Arpeggiator enhancements. We also recently rebuilt the UltraWave import. There's a whole video about that, so watch that if you haven't seen it already. 1.1 is a free update, and all future updates we make to Ultra will also be free. All these features were based on musician feedback, so feel free to comment below with what you'd like to see us build next. The most requested feature we've added was MIDI Polyphonic Expression, or MPE. MPE gives you more control of individual notes. With standard MIDI, if I play two notes and then pitch bend, they both bend together. With MPE, I can bend the notes individually. There are 3 dimensions to control. Pitch bend is from side to side. Timbre is controlled vertically. And pressure is in and out. You can attach these dimensions to any knob in Ultra and play them using an MPE controller, such as an Osmos, Linstrument, or Seaboard. But you can also program MPE directly in your DAW. Turn MPE on by clicking the MIDI icon and selecting MPE. You'll see new mod sources appear on the left for timbre and pitch. Aftertouch is available in both modes. As always, drag to a knob to have the mod source control it. I've connected timbre to filter cutoff, and so can control the cutoff individually per note. If you have patches without MPE modulation, you can connect the MPE dimensions to the macro controls. So here, MPE timbre is controlling macro 1. And that's MPE. We've added over 200 new factory presets to the factory packs. To see the new ones, go to your library, filter by factory, and sort by date. As always, you can play a demo using the play button. Here are a few of my favorites. There's a ton more presets, and we're branching out into new genres, so be sure to check them out. We now have 8 LFOs and 5 envelopes. By default, you'll see the standard 4 LFOs. The others will show up when you need them. So once you've made modulations with the first 4 LFOs, the next 4 will appear. Same with the envelopes. Once you've used envelope 2 and 3, you'll see 4 and 5 appear. If you delete the mod links, they will collapse back into the original layout. Due to popular demand, we've added transfer curves to mod links. Let's say you're using an LFO to modulate the filter cutoff. Clicking the small arrow brings up the mod sources for the cutoff. You'll see a little graph here which represents the transformation for the source. This is the default graph. When the modulation comes in at 0%, it's going to output 0, and if it comes in at 100, it's going to output 100. So by default, it's not going to change the mod amount. On the right, you can see this unadjusted amount of the LFO. If we adjust the curve, we can transform the signal from the LFO into other shapes. You can double-click to create points in the graph. There's an invert button here to flip the graph. You can reset the graph back to its default curve, and you can load and save curve presets. Let's say you wanted to have the modulation do more when you played loudly and less when you play quietly. You can link a second mod source here. The two mod sources are combined together, so loud notes will do a lot and quiet notes do nothing. There's a second curve which can control this as well. So here I've made it so that every note above 50% velocity will output the full modulation, and the quietest notes will still output 40% of the modulation value. Next we have changes to the Arpeggiator and sequencer. Arp is down here with the envelopes. Turn it on and it's going to generate notes for you while you hold down a key. Hold a chord and you get the notes generated as an arpeggio. You can control some of the aspects of the ARP on this small screen, but if you click the editor button, you get a much larger page, and this will be a better way to demonstrate all of the ARP features. You'll notice the screen is split into 8 lanes. The bottom lane controls whether notes are generated or not. The next lane allows you to tie notes together. The subdivision lane lets you split notes into steps. Click the number to increase it. Or you can drag it up and down. You can also split tied notes. So here I've tied 4 16th notes together and split them into 3, creating a triplet. So these 3 lanes control the rhythm of the pattern. If you want to reset back to the default, you can click the reset button for each lane. The next lane is the swing grid. Now this doesn't do anything unless you increase the value of the swing knob. As you increase, you can see the positions of the notes change in the top lanes. When swing is on 100%, you'll see the notes line up with the flags in the swing grid. You can drag the flags around and adjust the grid. Although it's called swing, you can use this feature to make specific grooves. Similar to swing, length is controlled by both the knob and the values in each lane. As I adjust the knob, the length of all notes gets shorter. I can also change the length values for each step individually. You can click on a step. You can also drag across multiple steps. If you want to set values in a straight line, you can hold Shift and click. If you hold Option and drag, you'll set all the values at once. Finally, you can right-click to enter a value using a text box. Clicking the dice will randomize each step, and you can reset back to the default. If you right-click the reset button, you can type the value to reset to. And there's a hidden feature when entering this text. You can enter multiple numbers separated by commas. This will repeatedly apply the values across the pattern. The next 2 lanes are similar to each other. Velocity will control the MIDI velocity of the notes being generated. And it's a mod source, so you can connect it to knobs to control them. There's a couple of ways to connect it. You can click this plus button and select a mod target. I'm connecting velocity to filter cutoff. If you're in the main synth view, you can drag from the label on the screen, or drag from the velocity panel. It's the same mod source. If you just want velocity to control all of the oscillator volumes, rather than dragging to each one, you can adjust the amp amount knob here. Back to the ARP, the next lane is another mod source. You connect it to targets in the same way, the plus button, or dragging from the small ARP screen. Here I've connected it to Ultrawave Warp 1 amount, which is controlling the width of the waveform depending on each step of the ARP mod lane. Moving up to the top, we have ARP mode and sequencer mode. Let's go through ARP mode first. When you play your MIDI keyboard, the ARP generates notes. If you switch on anchored mode, then the pattern will follow your DAW transport, so playing notes will start at the part of the bar that matches the transport of your project. Phrase repeat. If I'm playing a 5-note chord, then the ARP will generate 5 notes over and over. Now there are 16 steps in my pattern, so groups of 5 won't line up with the steps. If you enable phrase repeat, then the notes will repeat their sequence when the next bar starts. There are 3 velocity modes. Absolute uses the values in the lane. Additive uses the incoming MIDI value plus the lane value. So if you have small values in the lane and play softly, you can still create a velocity pattern while having some control. As played will ignore the lane and use the velocity of the MIDI notes that you play. In this case, the lane displays the played values. Next up are the ARP modes. This controls what happens when you play a chord. By default, the notes will go up. You can also choose down and up and down. As played will trigger notes based on the order that you played them in the chord. There's also random. And then there's gate mode. This one's a bit different. It will generate all the notes in the chord as you're playing them, based on the pattern. Next is the ARP range. If you hold a 3-note chord and increase the range to 2 octaves, it will generate the 3 notes for both of the octaves, and you can increase this up to 4 octaves. You can save presets for the ARP. If you want to reset the entire ARP pattern, you can find a preset for that here. Sequencer mode can be used to create riffs. Each step has a number that represents the change in semitones from the note you play. If I play the note E and change the semitone number to -2, it will generate a D. +3 will generate a G. You can program notes plus or minus 12 semitones. If you want more, you can also select the octave by clicking or dragging these numbers. Your sequence might sound good when you hold one note, but if you play other notes in the scale, the pattern will be shifted relatively and won't sound like it's in the same key. If you want to stay in key, enable the Snap to Key feature. All transposed notes will be locked to the key you select. can adjust the key by clicking the combo box. Select from the basic scales and modes, or create your own by enabling or disabling notes on the keyboard. Even with Snap to Key disabled, clicking the Randomize button will generate notes in that scale. Speaking of random, you can randomize each of the lanes in real time as you play. The small knob controls the range of random values. The large random knob controls the overall randomness. Each of the lane controls are multiplied by this number. You can see the results in the boxes here. You can rotate the pattern, moving all of the steps so that it starts where you want it to. And finally, you can change the number of steps in the pattern. That's it for 1.1. We have a lot of exciting things we're working on and can't wait to show you in the coming months. Download Ultra at ultra.audio, and thanks for watching.